And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the CNC show with Javi, or Javi CNC show, or Learn CNC with Javi, or whatever you feel like calling it this week. Tonight, we're going to have another lesson, if you will, or for those of you who want something simple, something that can sell, we're going to create a table tray out of various shapes. So while I'm introducing our panel, well, our guest tonight, feel free to come up with some ideas of some basic shapes: circle, a cat, a dog, a Santa Claus, whatever you want to make a simple tray out of, and we'll show you that, and we'll do a few different examples, so you can well, you'll see. And that being said, let's go to our let's see here. Becca, would you mind introducing yourself and tell everybody where they can find you?
Hi, I'm Becca Miller, and about the only place you can find me is on Facebook. That's where I hang out. So, and I live in Texas and love life. That's me.
That's a beautiful thing. All right, and let's see. So I guess we'll get on with it. Let's see. Time on there. Well, here we go. Let me do a little screen share here for everyone. And that's going to be interesting.
Lots of Beccas.
Yep, lots of Beccas. Bear with me. Let's see. All right. I am presenting to everyone. I am clicking on me. I am trying this one more time.
Maybe
there we go.
That's more thought like there was going to be a short show tonight.
I know, it would be funny. Well, actually, with all those screen upon screen upon screen, since I chose the wrong screen, it would have been an infinite show technically. So let's see here. Let's begin with well, let's do one that let's do a snowman. We'll do a simple snowman. I've done this before for some of you that have seen my earlier shows, but we'll give it a shot again. We'll do a snowman, and we'll show you how to create your own basic shape, which we'll take the circle tool, create a circle. And I always like to use certain guides. This is a 12 by 12 that I've chosen. So I'm going to put a guide at 6 and at 6 just to have it dead center. And this particular shape, we're going to snap right to the let's go ahead and move it to 6. Yeah, go on, Becca.
I'm going to be right back. My TV's still on the other room. I'm
going to take your time. Right back. And let's see. We're going to do 6 inches in the middle. For those of you that want to do us, that ever want to align a circle, and you want to have it a 1/4 inch from the top and 6 inches on the center. In other words, left to right, you want it based on the center point, but from bottom to top, you want it from the bottom. This is how you do it. First, you choose one of the sides. So I'm moving it on the x-axis based on this point here, up on the center point. Now it's centered on the x-axis. And then I will take it, and with either one of these 2 points, just use the y-axis without touching the x-axis. And that way, you'll have it 1/4 inch off the page, and there you go. We'll close this. Let's create another circle. Say I want to make it, I don't know. We'll make it 4 inches, and we'll put it here. And we'll move it down because I miscalculated. Actually, I'll just make another one here. That sounds good. And then we'll do another one, I don't know, 2 inches with the hay and up here. And that's roughly our snowman. Getting rid of this circle. Now you're saying, well, it doesn't look like much of a snowman. Well, I'm not much of an artist, but if you go ahead and take all the pieces of the snowman here and weld them together. This is using basic shapes. In a few minutes, I'll show you how to create one from an imported shape. So let's merge all of this into one big shape. Now we have our basic shape. Now, in the future, in the next few minutes, I will show you how to create a basic shape from any other shape, and from that point on, every bit of instruction here to create a tray is the same. But I will do it again for those of you who want a little more practice. So I've got a shape. You can go either inside or outside. We're going to be using the offset and layout tool. Now, the thing about the offset and layout tool is, depending on the actual shape, you have to choose which would be better. If you have a maximum thickness of wood and that's what you based your largest shape on, well, then you have to go inside. In some cases, you have a very tiny shape or part of a shape. You either have to go outside, or in the case of, let's say you go inside half an inch, then notice you're going to get this thing here. So what I would do is at that point, use your tools and cut this off and just leave the tray with this part solid and this part as the dish. But for now, let's undo that and let's go on the outside. So half inch is a good average to for a lip, if you will. So you got a half-inch lip, and this is what your tray will ultimately, well, this is a two-dimensional image of your, there are 3 people who don't like candy.
Everybody likes candy.
Everybody likes candy. Well, at the very least, everybody likes chocolate.
That's right.
So call it a chocolate dish. Let's see. So now we have our outside and we're inside shapes. Now we'll go to our tool paths, as we're quite fond of doing. And this, again, can be done in every vectoric program from 2D all the way up to, well, let's see, 2D can do pockets, yes, and all the way up to VCarve Pro and Aspire. So,
Javi?
Yeah.
Don't you want to click on both of those and center it because you're off the bottom?
Yes. And let's go ahead and do that. Because usually I end up working with, let's see here. There we go. Usually I end up working with something at a specific center. If I need to, like if I'm working with a circle or something where I'm rotating the pieces, I will definitely be centering it. In this case, while it's not crucial that it's off the piece, it's handy to have it in the piece at the very end, and at this point when you create the toolpath, it's best to have it all within the confines of your workspace. Although I tend to be a little haphazard when it comes to that, I'll work wherever it is, and at the end I will move everything in one blow and then recalculate all the toolpaths, which most of the time works, but not always. So as you said, it's a better practice to have it in your final location. Well, the inside is going to be nothing more than a pocket toolpath. Now, let me first readjust the size here because I had it at 0.75. Let's say the piece of wood that you're working with is 1.5 inches, which is what I'm going to decide on. So now I'll take the inside piece, and it's a simple pocket. if you have a dish cutting, by the way, if you intend to make a lot of these, then I highly suggest that you get a dish cutter, uh, uh, a dish cutter bottoming bit, or what it's called, a dish cutter router bit. So let me select that one, and see, I know I have it in here somewhere. Round over, diamond jig, come on. It's not ball nose. There it is, dish cutter 1 inch. This is what the dish cutter profile looks like. It's basically round overs on either side, and it's 1 inch, so the whole bottom will be flat. Another option is to take and just offset a bit a flat, a regular end mill, and then at the very edge, like let's say you have a 1/4 inch round over bit, which is a 1/4 inch in diameter, in radius. So it would be a 1/4 inch from here to an inside line. Well, then I would take and create another path 1/4 inch inward, and I would be running a pocket on this, and a pocket inside of this with an end mill, and I would be running a profile on this with the round over. So the round over will trim all of this all the way to a 1/4 inch in. The actual bit is 1/2 inch wide, and the flat end mill will curve out the pieces. But it's a lot easier if you have a dish cutter, because it's just one operation. And
Javi,
then,
Javi,
yeah,
how wide is that dish cutter bit?
the dish cutter bit is about 1 inch. So one thing that you should do is, like right now, I've got a 50%. The dish cutter is 1 inch, and it has built into it a 1/4 inch round over. So if you will, the inner 0.5 circle, if you look at the cutting on it, is flat. Everything from outside of that to the edge, in other words, the outer 1/4 inch perimeter of the cut is, in other words, from here to here and from here to here, is clearly not flat. So if you're going to be going over it, and you decide that you want a 90%, if you want 90% overlap, or rather to jump 90% over, then you're going to have, it's going to go to about here, and you're going to be left with a little peak. I don't know if you understand, but you here, I'll show you. This is the case of a 50%, which right now it will cut, and the next path will be, this edge will be right here at 50% of the pass. So I'll calculate that, and this is what it looks like. It's a nice smooth bowl with rounded edges, and that I like the rounded edges.
It's kind of like using a surfacing bit on your CNC machine, but it gives you a nice round edge on the edge.
Exactly. Okay. And it does it in one pass. Rather, it does it with one bit. So I mean, you could go through the trouble of the surfacing bit, and likewise, if you want a sharp edge on this thing, you could also use a flat end mill, any type of end mill. That'll work. Or, like I said in the beginning, use an end mill up to this point, up to the center of your round over, and then use the round over at the very end. So both will achieve the same means. Now, here's what happens. Let's say I edit this and make it 90%. So it will, so if I calculate it, it's actually going over 90% of the width. Well, here's what happens. Now you see what happened. It's going over this path, and then it goes over 90%. Well, 90% jumps way too far and the flat part is not overlapping to cut over that round over bit. And this is what I was saying, that you need at least, well, you could play with the figure if you want, but I usually use 50%, because I mean, or 10% if you were willing to put in the time, because that just makes a nice smooth bottom. And there's nothing like a nice smooth bottom.
Stop it.
Thinking back to when my kids were babies. Oh, well. Anyway. Memories. Okay, so here we go. Let's go for yeah, exactly, Frankie. You could use a straight over, like I said earlier, and that'll work for you. But I'm partial to the that little round edge. I mean, it's a lot easier to sand. You don't have to worry about the getting into the corner. It's also when it comes to cleaning, it's a lot easier on dirt. I mean, we're talking about candy dishes here. I don't want stuff getting in the corners. But well, that being said, let's do a simple profile outside. Select a 1/4 inch tool. And we'll go the full depth, which is 1.5 inches. Calculate. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Make sure I did. Here, this is not deep enough. This will go half, actually more than half the depth. We can go, the edges are 5 inches. So let's go ahead and do 1 inch deep. Calculate. So this ultimately, wait, I missed that other piece. Hang on. I never corrected this part. Never saved it. Always remember to save, folks. And calculate. All right, so we have our candy dish. If we dump this, this is a Snowman candy dish. It's nice and deep. It's about 1 inch deep. Again, you can actually take a end mill and create just the outer edges if you are so inclined. Make holes in here for dowels and stack these up and create a very tall candy dish. Whatever your creative heart desires, you know. So let's move on. And does anybody have any shape? And I don't want to use the iconic mouse, because that you know, they're very careful with their trademark. And but if you guys can tell me of some generic shape, and I'll be happy to import it off of off the internet. And
How about a Christmas tree?
A Christmas tree. I've made those before with a bunch of triangles, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and import one to show those of you who haven't worked with the bitmap tool and things like that, how to do that. Bear with me while I search for a decently shaped Christmas tree.
Oh, we're getting some other suggestions. A heart and a 4-leaf clover.
Ah, cool. A clover is good. I've done a heart before. Clover's good. Let's do a clover.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. 4-leaf clover is a nice one. And let's see. Clover, clover, clover. Yeah, no, not clover. And this is why I did not want to never know what pops up. And the last thing I want is something that I don't want to popping up while I'm sharing on the internet. So I don't like to advertise other people's businesses.
Yeah.
Let's see, this is could work. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a clover that I just yanked off the internet somewhere. And let me go ahead and start screen sharing here. I got to get a set of glasses that's not progressive, so I don't go like this all the time when I'm when I'm staring at the screen. All right, here we go. And new 12 by 12, inch and a half. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Let's do a clover. Get rid of our snowman. Pop the clover in. And again, for those of you that haven't worked with there we go. Sometimes it takes more than once for some reason. You click on it twice and you can get the handles. We'll get a nice big image. And then we'll go to our... Now, here's one thing I would recommend for those of you working with something, let's say, that has a bunch of extraneous information inside and all you want is the outer edge. Well, take and go to Photoshop. Oh, this mouse. Go to Photoshop, remove the background, make it transparent, and then do a color overlay of black, and it will fill the entire... anything that you don't want inside the show. Just anything you don't want black, remove it with the tool. Anything you want black is going to be any color, even white, on the image. You do a color overlay, and then you just save it as a JPEG, and you're importing a black and white image. So here goes. But this is not a Photoshop class, so we'll go with what we got. We'll do the old auto trace, or whatever it's called here. And I'm going to call it black and white. Let's preview. That's a good shape. It's a decent shape. Apply and close. And I can just make the image invisible. Now, what I would do here clearly is smooth. First of all, no, there's no open vectors. I would take and smooth this. Let's see if... yeah, that's a good smoothing. This thing basically made all the curves and all the straight lines, except for, well, there might be some issues here or there. But we're just doing a sample show, so...
don't go crazy.
We're not going to go crazy. There you go. And so now we have a choice. Obviously, again, we go either inside or outside. So let's... this mouse. Let's go and see what happens if we go inside. And it's going to be 1/2 inch. I like using a good 1/2 inch lip. 3/4 is good if you have a bigger tray. So now, as you see, it really doesn't look like much of a clover in here now. It's a mess. The outside looks great, but the inside doesn't. So I wouldn't recommend going inside. Outside is always an option. And that's okay. It's got this kind of a shape here. And the inside is a thing. Now, what I would do is, let's now, keeping that in mind, let's see what happens if we do both. Both inside and outside, but again with the mouse. We're going to go 1/4 inch because obviously we're going half the distance, both inside and outside. And that black piece is what we're actually cutting, which, to tell you the truth, it looks okay. I think it looks better. We get rid of this little piece, join this, and we have our clover with a stem sticking out. So that's... no, we don't.
No. You lost the stem.
We got this. Yeah, we lost the stem on that one. and I could fiddle around and put a little thin stem on it. Again, this is all whatever design you want. You can fiddle around with it. You can go extensive and create a different design, because we chose a very a design that is not so simple, but well, this will work. Okay, so we have our clover. We'll do the same thing, and I'll do it really quickly right now. Well, here we already have the two. That's the beautiful thing about this is save your files, duplicate your files, and you already have the toolpath. So all you got to do is go double click on the toolpath, choose the pocket, calculate, double click on the toolpath, choose the outside, calculate. And guess what? I didn't have to do my pockets again. All I did was that. And that looks okay. And there is a little something else we can do to you know, to beef it up a little, which is, hang on, and that is, let us do a, let me see here. Okay, this is going to be a little bit crazy, but let's go here and do, I would say, okay, let me duplicate this. This is a little more on the creative, just because I can side. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to move it to a new layer, just so I can work with the new layer. Let me hide this original layer. And what I want to do is, I'm going to cut this piece off. See if you can guess what I'm going to do, Becca.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's give me a second here, and let's see. Let us cut this piece. And cut this piece.
So you're just going to leave the original stem without the...
Correct. And yeah, I'm going to do a little something to it if I can, which is, oh, come on, disappear already. There we go. I'm going to take the stem and just go, this is a little bit of creative, artistic license or whatever, or any whatever you want to call it. But let me, first of all, I'm just going to make it a little bigger, just so it's not in the same, just so I could see where it is. And I'm going to take that stem and, yeah, I hear you. I'm going to take and go here. Zoom in here. Okay, good. There's just one left. I'm going to go move this here. I'm going to move this here. Make it smooth, because it's not smooth. Why is it not smooth? Oh, because it's arcs. Okay, convert to Bezier. And I need to convert this one too. Oh, goodness. It did all arcs.
So picky.
There we go.
Come on. Come on, Vetric. Yeah. Do what he's thinking, not what he's doing.
Right, exactly. I mean, goodness gracious. Look at that. More arcs. Let me make sure that's a Bezier and that's a Bezier and that's in nothing but Beziers left. Okay. And smooth that, smooth this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow along here. Yeah. Let me see here. No, actually, I want to go inside a little bit. And what I'm doing.
So Raymond, aren't you sorry you mentioned 4-leaf clover?
There you go. Okay. If my imagination works, which it doesn't often, this should be rather interesting. Let's see. The inside cut is not a cut, and that'll be okay. Let me try this. So I'll go over here. Let me see what that shape looks like. Okay, good. I'm doing exactly what I think I'm doing. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying something. You got to try V-carve. Nope, not V-carve. Sorry. Profile. Do a profile on the line, but we will be using a V-carve bit. Yeah, for those of you who have what's a photo? I mean the V-carve Pro. You don't always have to V-carve with a V-carve bit. Just so you're aware. I'm going to take a V bit, a 90-degree V bit, and now it's not going to be 1.5 inches, say maybe 1/4 inch. We'll try that depth, and we'll calculate that. That's not exactly where I wanted the tips, but well, let me see. Okay. So we have the inside, and this will take a little tweaking. We have the inside, we have the outside, and then we have, well, this is kind of what it'll look like, which doesn't look that good. So let's tweak that a bit. No, we don't tweak it here. We tweak it here. First and foremost, we're going to go a little further from the end there. And see what happens. Yeah, it's going to be a little goofy looking, but let's see what happens. Okay. And forget that 1/4 inch. Let's go 1/8 of an inch. So all we want is nothing more than a little design on this flat part. And there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we could tweak it around. We could actually do something simple like the following. You know, here's a better way. See, when you see these things and when you try them out, sometimes you come up with better ways. And right now I thought, oh, you know, what if I take and get rid of this? Let me see. Get rid of this. All right, let me undo that. I'll get rid of this. Move this. It would help if I actually pick the right tool. Let's just do something simple like this. That might actually look a lot better. Yeah. No suitable selected. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, that's way off. Why is that there? Let me see. Oh, outside. On. No wonder. Well, this will look better anyways. And here we go. Zoom.
I don't know. That looks goofy.
I know. Maybe a little deeper. It does look quite goofy. But that looks a little better. And not much, but a little better. And half an inch, let's see, half an inch would probably erase way too much. So let's go 0.37. Well, like you said, it looks a little goofy. What I would do if you didn't want the if you didn't want this look, notice I didn't choose the profile number 2, so I just have the original. If you didn't want this, which looks like a 4-leaf clover without you could have a 4-leaf clover tray without the stem, that works. Or you could actually create a stem down here to make it look kind of like a tree. But
I think it would look better if you just pulled the stem down below and separated it and make it look, make it longer.
Yeah.
And it'll be kind of like a handle. And it would actually look like a stem instead of, I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's give it a shot. What are they saying in the chat there? Anything interesting?
Oh, they're talking about eyes and glasses and getting glasses to read your computer and stuff.
I know the feeling. Okay, so let's take this and go a little bit shorter here. Extend this way over here like so. Extend this over here.
Oh, that's gonna look better.
Yeah, I think so too. You gotta see, it's great when you got people to help you with more than one idea is always a good thing. Yeah, this won't go anyway, so let me just delete this, and delete what? Wrong one. And delete this. Where's that other one? There we go. Let's make this a little bit wider. I'm going to insert a point here and make it a smooth point so we can just do this here. We will, well, let's just go to the edge. What the heck? Okay. Remember to recalculate all tool paths. And here we go.
That looks so much better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So again, you can get in there, you can widen this area, you can do this, but that's the basic idea is you take a piece and you bring it in and you play with it. Now, if there aren't right now, but if there were any interior edges, that were like this. You've got a bowl cutter that's 1 inch in diameter. Always take a look at the design. But if you haven't, if I ran this bowl cutter out here, this edge wouldn't be so tight. So you may either have to adjust your design or choose a smaller bit. I mean, it's that simple. But there you go. So all I can say to you guys is good luck. Sorry, just had to. But anyway, does anybody have any other suggestions? Because that's pretty much it for the show for tonight. Nice and simple trays, and you can create. I made one for my family of a character that my daughter's very fond of. Made some for my cousins as well. And this is just a nice simple tray. You can use salad bowl oil and or mineral oil, any food safe oil. I'm not here to teach you how to do finishes. Your woodworkers, well, those of you that don't have a CNC, and so you should know how to do finishes by now. Yeah, that's true. I need my Diet Coke rack refill. Jim Bashir is saying that. Let me see here. There we go. Got to do it. It's just. Well, anyway, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Becca, for joining me on the panel this week.
It was fun.
I'll be coming up with different things. Anybody has any suggestions for each weekly show, let me know. I'll be happy to, if you're weak on a particular... Always making noises, that Diet Coke. If you're weak on a particular skill of any sort, when it comes to Vectric, if you have any questions about spindles, routers, limit switches, building a CNC, or any type of CNC related questions, by all means, send them my way. We did a show on feeds and speeds a little while back. We did a show on we've done just about every show, so I'll just continue doing them because there's always new people learning new things, and the more you continue to practice, the better you are. And some of these shows will actually be very entertaining, if not creative. So you're very welcome, Frankie. I did a little work on Frankie's logo the other day, just doing a little tweaking. Yes, Dave. I also saw that. I was looking at CNC at Thingiverse, and I plugged in CNC, and I went through. I only got as far as like 35 pages.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah, I just got lost. And Dave and I were talking on a hangout for about 2 hours, and it was just like just clicking it. Hey, Dave, take a look at this. And then Dave shaking his damn head because it was just so ridiculous, or going, hey, that's impressive, or but most of the time it was the same thing over and over. Yeah. People making, I don't know, a gear here, a gear there, different items. I saw a vacuum dust shoe, but it wasn't a vacuum dust shoe. It was a CNC router. It attached to the router or to the apparatus, and it had a nozzle to blow air. So it wasn't actually. No, I'm sorry. It was a vacuum. So it had but the nozzle was like this big. So. I don't know about you, but I would think that the only time that would work is if you're doing a profile cutting in a specific direction where the chips are being aimed into the hole, because it was such a tiny little hole. There's no way any amount of suction could suck well, mine little dust, yeah, but no big things. So that was funny. So yeah, folks, thumbs up if you got them, and I will see you all later. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful week. Next week, send me some info, and I'll send me a puzzle, and I'll solve it.